Trump announces the extension of the Iran ceasefire at the request of Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. He confirms military action will be paused for now, but the blockade will continue.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif thanks U.S. President Trump for extending the ceasefire on behalf of Field Marshal Asim Munir and himself. He hopes for a successful peace deal and reiterates Pakistan's commitment to diplomatic efforts.
Iran's advisor to Parliament Speaker Ghalibaf rejects Trump's ceasefire extension. Mehdi Mohammadi calls U.S. blockade no different from bombing. He urges Iran to take initiative as tensions between the U.S. and Iran continue to escalate.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance's trip to Pakistan for Iran peace talks is delayed. White House confirms postponement as discussions continue on the next steps.
Trump claims Iran doesn't want the Strait of Hormuz closed, but seeks to continue making $500 million daily. He accuses Iran of saving face in negotiations while emphasizing a more forceful approach to their leadership.
Iran's UN envoy Amir Saeed Iravani confirms Tehran will resume talks in Islamabad if the U.S. blockade is lifted. Tehran emphasizes it is prepared for both dialogue and conflict, depending on the blockade's resolution.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi calls any blockade of Iranian ports an act of war. He condemns attacks on commercial vessels and crew detentions, accusing the U.S. of breaching the ceasefire amid rising tensions.
Iran's Khatim al-Anbiya headquarters vows to defend the nation at all costs. Military on maximum alert, prepared to strike pre-designated targets instantly. Any attack, including by U.S. or Israel, will trigger immediate retaliation. Iran calls on UN to condemn U.S. seizure of Iranian cargo ship. Tehran deems the act a violation of international law, urging the UN Security Council to issue a firm condemnation.
UN welcomes Trump's ceasefire extension with Iran, calling it a step towards diplomacy. The UN urges all sides to avoid actions that could derail the truce, highlighting Pakistan's role in facilitating dialogue.
Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar holds a phone call with Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud. They discuss regional developments, with Saudi Arabia reaffirming support for Pakistan's efforts.
Information Minister Ataullah Tar exposes India's false flag operations 1 year after Pahalgam. He calls India's actions driven by pride, arrogance and greed, and stresses Kashmir remains an international issue.
One year after the Pahalgam incident, an Indian newspaper reports a total lack of accountability for the intelligence failures that left 26 tourists dead. Critics slammed the Modi government for shielding officials while using the tragedy to consolidate political control.
UN blocks the Taliban from Afghanistan's permanent seat for a fourth consecutive year. Experts label the move as a total diplomatic failure driven by the regime's extremist policies and global isolation.
Pakistani freelancers earned $856 million by Q3 fiscal year 2026, a 50% rise. Reforms under the Special Investment Facilitation Council drive growth as thousands of new freelancers enter the digital economy.
Power supply improves in parts of Pakistan, but outages persist. Despite a rise in electricity generation, ongoing shortfall leaves parts of the country facing up to 8-hour power cuts.
U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders calls for end to military aid to Israel. He cites violence in the West Bank with over 1,000 Palestinians killed since October 2023.
U.S. Pentagon proposes 42% increase in defense budget. The $4.18 trillion plan allocates $750 billion for naval ships, fighter jets, and Iron Dome. This is set to be the largest defense budget in U.S. history.
UN warned rising instability could worsen without international law. The UN chief stresses global responsibility to uphold peace and protect the planet, especially amid Middle East tensions ahead of International Mother Earth Day.
PSL Season 11 reaches a critical phase with two exciting matches today. Peshawar Zalmi aim to extend their winning streak against Karachi Kings, while Hyderabad Kingsmen face Multan Sultans in a key playoff decider.
And DC's Superman Man of Tomorrow begins filming. James Gunn shares first look image with Lex Luthor's badge and ruffled chips. David Consuet returns as Superman, sequel releasing July 2027.